there are still some, I guess, ideas that get challenged, but they're challenged in a much more productive way these days than they are. Like our behind the music story now is going to be very boring as
Hmm.
to how it used to be. And I think it's because we've gone through all the changes and all of the challenges in ways of figuring out what works best for us. And I feel like we have been on a trajectory to better ourselves as individuals, better ourselves as musicians, and communicate better. And that is a equation for a good working relationship. In any relationship that people have, it's about communication.
Valentino and Aaron, thank you so much for your time today. How are you doing? We're talking a few days after Halloween. How did you celebrate?
Oh, good. Just hung out with family, passed out candy.
Eat a lot of candy or hand it out?
Handed out. No, I didn't eat a lot.
Valentino, how's Halloween at your end?
Yeah, it was cool, man. Got to spend it with family, got to go trick or treating with my nephew, and didn't eat a lot of candy, but I definitely ate a fair share as it is Halloween. So, yeah, it was cool.
There you go. There you go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. There's a lot of kids that wake up with just a little bit less Halloween candy than they thought they collected the night before for some strange reason. Adults get into that stash.
Yeah,
Good.
thankfully, as a vegan, I have to be very selective of the candy that I eat. So I had my own, but I was definitely in the gym today
There you
trying
go.
to burn it all off.
Right. Well, yeah, also getting in shape. There's a lot coming your way. This is going to be, oh, you guys are going to be so busy again very quickly. This is
Yeah,
the
man.
calm before the storm, and then they make you do a bunch of interviews. I hope the schedule is not too grueling. Let's jump into this record. Another Milligan is coming out November 14th. That's a few weeks away from us right now. I know that you didn't write or record these songs yesterday, but it's always a celebration, always a milestone when a new album of your band comes out. There's always a lot of expectation, a lot of eyes on that. Do you feel that pressure in a way right now? Is it pure excitement to get these last songs out the fans haven't heard yet? How do you live through these last 2 weeks before an album comes out?
It's excitement. It's a lot of emails, like on the back end. But then, I mean, for us as artists, it's always really exciting.
Yeah.
I don't think like we're not so connected or so precious as to where I think it's nerve-wracking or scary, but it's just yeah, it's always exciting. And for us too, it's, we finished this record back in February and submitted it shortly thereafter. So we've been sitting on this for a little while. So it's nice to
Yeah.
sort of keep the conversation with our fans going.
Yeah. Do you remember, Valentino, when you were working on this? I mean, I know it's been a while, but was there a moment that was kind of like a breakthrough moment for all of you in the band that you're like, okay, this is it? Like we found the identity for this record. Was there like a specific moment, or was it kind of like a really gradual process to find the identity of this new album?
I don't think we look at it that way. I feel like that would kind of come more if we were trying to do like a concept album or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, this album is just like a collection of songs that we kind of felt like just kind of came together. We always write more than what we were supposed to turn in, and then we kind of like decide which ones are the strongest that we want to showcase for the band for the album. And I think it was after we had chosen all the songs, kind of in the process that comes after that is usually, well, for this album, it was naming the album, getting the artwork figured out, and then figuring out the track listing. Once we kind of got all that figured out, it was kind of like, okay, well, we have an album, boys. Because, I don't know, really, we try not to get too in the weeds with it. And I think then we just kind of make it where it's just like a song by song basis. You know,
Right.
we want to make sure all of our bases are covered with the material that we've kind of explored everywhere that we wanted to on this body of work. And I feel like we got to explore a lot of new territory in the sonic landscape of this album specifically. And I think that with every album, we try and set out to do that. And I think with this one, we've done it kind of yet again in a way that I kind of feel like every time we finish an album, I'm like, holy shit, how are we going to top this one? You know,
Right.
and sure enough, I feel like we do it every damn time. And that's just a testament to how awesome we work together and how much fun we have during the project. And it doesn't feel like we're setting out to do that, but once we're able to look back on it and kind of listen to it as a whole, get that track list in order, listen to it front to back, have the name, have the artwork, we're kind of like, wow, there it is. Like, we did it again, boys. And it is a good feeling, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in, but we try not to think too much about it while we're doing it, or else we'll kind of overwhelm ourselves.
Right.
And we kind of gotta eat the pumpkin one bite at a time. You can't eat the whole big thing right away. You know, you gotta take it in little pieces. So yeah, man, we're really stoked on it, and this is our third album self-producing, so it is also a really big feeling of pride knowing that all these songs came from us, and that we were able to capture what we set out to do, and we feel a lot of pride with that, and we love what we get to do, and it's because of our fans. They really allow us the opportunity to continue to make albums, and as long as they're listening, we'll keep making it for them. And even if they weren't listening, we'd still be making albums. They just probably wouldn't have a way to hear them. Actually, we'd still be able to upload them, but they're going to hear it from more people because we're on Century Media Records, and our album Another Miracle comes out November 14th.
There you go. There you go.
AnotherMiracle.net.
Now, hey, like you mentioned it, you know, self-produced yet again. When you guys are looking back at like the journey, because this is now album number 9, and you've gone through this quite a few times. You've had other people involved. You've had nobody involved. How has this, now that you're like looking back, maybe, or if I'm asking you to look back on how this process went for this one, these years now of self-producing, like how has that impacted like this whole creative roller coaster, if you will? Like you said, Valentino, like, you know, oh, the best part is like, you know, a bunch of friends and we work together and everything is great and we love it. But people also throw chairs at each other when they are trying to decide on creative approaches and so on. And sometimes people throw the producer, you know, at each other.
Yeah.
So how has that, you know, engagement, you know, evolved, if you will, over the last few years? Like, do you see that you guys work differently?
Oh yeah, I mean,
versus before?
we have so much history making albums, you know, and I think every situation is a little bit different, especially when we were working with producers. I think we got all the chair throwing and yelling and frustrations out when we were working with other people who helped coach us to not do those things. And I feel like now that we've been working together, there are still some, I guess, ideas that get challenged, but they're challenged in a much more productive way these days than they are. You know, like our behind the music story now is going to be very boring as to how it used to be. And I think it's because we've gone through all the changes and all of the challenges in ways of figuring out what works best for us. And I feel like we have been on a trajectory to better ourselves as individuals, better ourselves as musicians, and communicate better. And that is a equation for a good working relationship. In any relationship that people have, it's about communication. And I think that we, over the years, and we've developed that, and it doesn't happen overnight. You know, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of compromise and sacrifice. But the juice is worth the squeeze every time for us. And really, like, I think it couldn't have gotten to this place without facing adversity and challenges and the things that we have done before. But I think that we're in a place now where it feels very not comfortable, but we're more aware of and playing towards everyone's strengths and how to get these projects finished and finalized and turned in as professionals. You know what I mean? Like, we're not a bunch of, like, I don't know, like, sloppy dudes that don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're professionals. We love what we do, and we take it very seriously. You know, like, it is a job first and foremost for us. It is a hobby as well, but it is also our jobs. So much like any job, you know, you can't show up not ready to work. You know what I'm saying? And everyone really is under that assumption, and that's just kind of how we do things. And it's because we've learned from some of the greatest rock and roll producers to some of the greatest rock and roll bands about how to do stuff. And thankfully, they've shown us kind of the ways, and we've kind of implemented them in our own ways and whatever works for us. And I think that's how we're able to create at such a high caliber now on our 9th album, where we're not like, what are we gonna do? It's like, we know exactly what to do. We gotta work on music, and we gotta make it the best we can and capture the best performances and challenge each other enough to get the best product out of what it is that we're making, and team up with a label like Century Media that understands and supports our vision and allows us to do it ourselves. And who better to make of Mice and Men records than of Mice and Men, you know?
You're not the only band that is embracing a more do-it-yourself ethos, if you will, today. This shift, if you will, like this trend that we're seeing, what's your take on how representative this is for the evolution of rock and metal in the streaming era, where, you know, fundamentally the rules of the games have changed? You know, business, Tino calls it quite rightfully so a job. It's a business. Business plans have to change as well, or they just naturally adapt. What's your take on that, as where you fit into that broader change, if you will, of our scene?
Well, I feel like that was a lot of questions. I think in terms of self-production, I think more and more artists, as technology makes it easier to get a commercially viable product that fans are used to, I think that more and more creative people will want more of that freedom and just that accessibility to be able to work on it. As far as how that affects the business as a whole, I mean, it's the Model T sort of putting covered wagon makers out of business in a way, but but you can get parcels places much faster with cars than with horses. So I am all for technology helping creatives get their ideas out more, because I think that it's just sort of a refinement of the tools, I guess. But for us, you know, like, we started doing it during COVID, and it was because everything was shut down. And we just made some songs, sent them to our label, expecting them to be like, okay, cool, when do you want to record these and put them out? But what ended up happening is we sent them to our label, and they said, awesome, these sound great, when do you want to release these? And we were like, no, this is our pre-production. And it sort of was like a light bulb moment where it was like, oh, well, let's just, like, I don't know, work 10% harder on these, polish them up a little bit, and then we have something that's an accurate enough representation of what we create before we go back and redo it. It's sort of like, I don't know, I think if you asked, you know, if you were to paint the Mona Lisa again, it's like, yeah, it'd probably look pretty good, but it wouldn't look exactly like the original. There'd be something different. So for us, there's some sort of magic that always comes the first time around when you create something. And so anything that the fans are listening to, it stemmed from the first time we created it. So it's not just like we created something then went and re-recorded it. It's what you're listening to is often the final process of creation, and you're listening to things that existed at the inception, you know.
So I want to use that as a segue to, like, you know, talk about the magic and all the kind of good stuff, and finding a balance between the technicality and the very clinical, sober way of looking at things and creation, but then also the heart and the soul and the magic that happens. You guys have always been a band to allow emotion and vulnerability fuel the art, more than other bands will do in hard rock music. It's not something that's new for you, but this album particularly, some of that really shines through. And, you know, if you already read some like early reviews of the album and so on, I've seen people label this as the most personal album yet and stuff like that. For you guys, as, you know, being, you know, rhythm section and being part of, how do you find that balance between, this is a technicality we have to do, this is the level of quality of musicianship, but you also need to find and fuel that emotion, if you will. Finding that balance between those two, is that a conversation? Is that something that's hard to do? Would help me understand.
No, I think it's fun for us. It's sort of like, you know, if you work in like you yourself working in journalism, if you spend time learning new words and new phrases and new ways of thinking of things and new ways of expressing ideas, ultimately music for us is a language. You know, the age, you know, the timeless cliche is music is the universal language, but it's true. And for us, it's not just about expressing ourselves with the language, but it's about learning the language so that we can better express ourselves more accurately. Because ultimately the goal of any song or any piece of music that we work on is we want you to feel how we were feeling when we made it. And I guess that's like the most simplistic way of looking at it, but that's the truth. Is, you know, everything for us is fueled by and stems from emotion and what that means to be a human being, and how music can make you feel things, and how if you it's a raging river, and if you sort of just like kick your feet up and you lay back, it will take you places, you know. And it will overtake you at times if you let it, you know. And I think for us, the other thing too is that you don't have to remember too much. If you're just going by what you feel, then that's kind of always there. Your intuition with regards to your feeling, with regards to what you're making, is basically a compass that is going to tell you true north every single time, and you don't have to remember how that works. You know, so.
And that's always how we lead the creative process too, is it has to be real. You know, like that's what this music is. It's not bubblegum bullshit. Like this is what we're going through. This is what we love about this kind of music too. The alternative, whatever alternative to mainstream is, it's real things. It's the human experience. It's what we're going through. We've always led with that foot forward, so it never has felt very difficult being so honest in the writing. That's just how we've always done things. And I think, especially on our 9th album, it's about how do we elevate the performances? How do we elevate the sound? How do we do what we've never done? Mm-hmm. Well, we get in there and we be honest about how we're feeling right now. And that's somewhere that we've never been before, because we've never been here before technically as humans. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to capture what's happening in the present and then creating it in a way that has some interesting sonic qualities, you know what I mean? And with on album 9, it was important for us to take a retrospective look at everything that we've done so far as a band and try and push the sound of the band further. And I feel like in a lot of these songs you can hear that. And it's not like we're taking these crazy chances or doing anything crazy different. I think it's just at this point in time we're trying some new things and incorporating some new elements into our sound that you can still very much tell that it's of Mice and Men, but it's like the of Mice and Men of 2025 and 2026 and like where we are now. And that'll never be where we were in 2009 or 10 or any time in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's what people can expect and have come to expect from the band is that we're just going to be honestly and truthfully ourselves every single time. And that way we don't have to worry about, is it cool or not? You know what I mean? It's just who we are. And thankfully, because we're honest in that way, it really resonates with our audience as well. And that's something that, you know, we truly appreciate and never take that for granted for sure.
The true who you are and where you're going to, or the river that Aaron was talking about that you're flowing into. Sure, you might not be looking at the expectations necessarily, but how much has your community influenced that feeling of who you are? And I ask because you know, your fans, your community is something that's clearly important to you. You know, you see that by the work you guys do through Music Saves Lives as well. The vulnerability of the themes often, I can only imagine, spark a ton of fan reaction and dialogue with you guys. So without letting expectation guide you, how much of Mice and Men 2025, 2026, Valentino, as you say, is influenced or impacted by that extra member, which is your collective audience, if you will?
I think in a lot of ways we don't really think about it too much, but we know that we do have a responsibility in that sense, but only as much as I think we just know because we're those people as well. You know what I mean? We're fans of music as well. And that's where this all started, was we liked music enough to learn how to play an instrument, to then practice it enough, to then record it, to then have a body of work, you know what I mean? That is a reflection of what our feelings and emotions are at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And I think the community it's only growing, and it's something that's powerful. And especially now with rock music and metal music becoming a little bit more mainstream, because the youth culture is beginning or is getting involved again, because these things happen in waves, you know, like it really, we've seen it go from when we were the wave of getting involved in that during the nu metal era of like the late 90s and early 2000s to now here we are again, nu metal revival. And there's a lot of that is coming to the mainstream. But I do think that, you know, this style of music, the mosh pits, the community, the crowd surfers, the fans, the singing, the everything, it's visceral, it's synergetic. There's so much of a collaboration between the artist and the audience that I think you can only have in this style of music, because it is a direct, we feed off of each other, you know, and we feed off that connection, and we all need that connection. And I feel like it's something that we definitely, it's not really something that we think about too much, but I mean, there are songs on the album that we know, yo, this is going to be a sick circle pit. Oh, the people are going to mosh super heavy to this song, you know, and that's all stuff that inspired us to do this, you know, to take it from the mosh pit to the stage type thing, and vice versa. And I think that with this style of music, you'll see a lot of that. And for our band, we couldn't do it without the audience. We couldn't have that connection or have that collaboration. And I think we don't think about it too much, but it is something that exists. And I would say, yeah, we play into it, but only as much as it's what we like too. Because we look at it from the fan perspective, not just from the creator perspective of like, what's cool? It's like, nah, this is sick. Like, this is what excites us. This gets us moving, gets our heart pumping. Like, this is going to get the community's heart pumping too. And we're just lucky to have that audience in that way that still rides with us on our 9th album. It's crazy. Bands don't get this far, you know, and that's not lost on us.
There you go. There you go. From the mosh pit to the stage, and it'll happen many times. Not only now in Europe with Gore and Ghost Kid, which are awesome, unlabelable bands themselves, and then many more stuff coming our way in 2026. Aaron, Valentino, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
I know how crazy these weeks are, and yes, Aaron, it's mostly just sitting at your computer and looking at emails and Excel sheets and all that kind of stuff. But I appreciate you so much for answering the questions. Exactly. Awesome. Well, I hope that you can take all that digital energy into crowd energy very soon when you're heading to Europe, and then later also Australia. It's going to be an awesome few months for you. Have the best time releasing this new album, and I hope to see you on a stage again very soon.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jasper. Have a good one.
Your time.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.